nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, let me tell you, I've been looking forward to this presentation for at least a month now. We have 3 of our stellar teachers who applied for a fellowship program this summer through the Dalio Foundation. There's an organization called Fund for Teachers, and hundreds of teachers apply to this, and the Dalio Foundation looks them all over, and actually these 3 folks were selected. So Rachel, are you going to go first?
I was just going to give a little bit of an overview of the application.
So Rachel Lorenzen, Laura Iris, and Lisa Lambert are all West Side teachers, West Side math teachers, and they have that really cool sweatshirt that we're all trying to figure out exactly what it means, but it is the Fund for Teachers logo. And Rachel went to Europe, and Laura and Lisa went to New Zealand and Australia, and they're going to tell you a little bit about what they did. But I'm also wondering if we can maybe dim a light. Oh, Mark can do that. Okay, great. So anyway, Rachel, welcome, Laura and Lisa.
Hi, so thank you so much for having us. So I'm just going to give you a brief overview of kind of what the application process looked like and how we kind of got started with the process. So last, I think it was October, a representative from Fund for Teachers came and they gave a presentation in Groton for anybody that was interested. So we went to an informational meeting and just learned a little bit about the application process, got some tips and pointers about what to do, some previous project ideas, and then we started formulating the ideas, things that we had and projects that we wanted to take. So both of our groups, so they went together as a joint trip, and I went as an individual traveler, but we, both of our project ideas changed throughout the process as we were formulating what we wanted to do. And we'll get more into what we ultimately landed on. But our application was due January 31st, and then we had to wait until April to find out if we were accepted. So we found out the first week of April. They posted the list online, so we found out we were accepted. But then they came to our... Oh, yeah, the night of conferences in April. And then the next day, the representative came to our school and brought us backpacks and a bunch of different gear, notebooks and pencils and signs and all this stuff. So it was really exciting. And then we had an orientation dinner in New Haven where all the grant recipients from the state of Connecticut were invited. It was at the New Haven Lawn Club, and they treated us to a really nice dinner, and they had some presentations from past grant recipients so we could hear about their projects, and we also got to learn about projects that other teachers received across the state and connect with them, which was great. And then we went off on our fellowships, and now in November, we actually have another dinner with the fellows across Connecticut now that we've all had our experiences. We'll come back together and share our experiences and our learning and kind of celebrate what we learned throughout our fellowships this summer. So that's just kind of the journey we took, and now Laura and Lisa are going to start with their trip. They went first, so they can talk first.
You want to talk while you have a voice?
I'll try. I just want to apologize. We went on our first field trip today, so I am very short on voice. But here's a quick overview of our the grant that we applied for. It was multi-part. We started in Auckland, New Zealand, outside of Auckland, New Zealand, actually, in a town called Hukaranui. And then we also made it part of our grant to go to Hobbiton as being math teachers. It was a great opportunity. We'll get more into that in a minute. And then we went to Sydney, Australia to go to an international baccalaureate, middle and high school. I did the bridge climb. We'll talk about that in a minute too. And we also went to an international STEM conference while we were there, which turned out to be much smaller than we anticipated. We were 2 out of 4 Americans in the whole place. And then we went to Cairns, Australia to go to the Great Barrier Reef, which was amazing. And even after all that, we had grant money left over, which we'll talk about what we did with that when we reach the end as well. Okay.
Do you want me to talk?
Yeah, do you want to take over?
So what was really neat about the school at, I can never say it, Hukaranui, the little girls, we had 2 little second grade, their 8 or 9-year-old, their second graders gave us a tour. And we kept trying to say it, and finally they were like, it's okay, don't worry about it. We just could not get how they pronounce it. this school is very outdoor based to begin with. They already have a forest, they have an orchard, they have lavender fields, they have beehives, they have alpacas. So it was really neat for us to be in a school that was already fully up and running. And our task, we spent a whole day with what the students referred to as the Shark Man, who's been on Animal Planet, and this, the bug guy who had real live bugs. It was really gross. And the kids, it was the first time when we were in the school that we realized kids are kids no matter where you go in the world. So as kids were acting, I'm like, that looks like so-and-so, that one's acting like so-and-so. So it was really invigorating to see no matter where you go in the world, kids are kids. They all love bugs. All of the adults were kind of like, oh, let's stay away from the bugs. And then on the Saturday, in this picture up here, they all take their shoes off when they go into school. So we were kind of taken back by that, especially since we didn't have rain boots and everything in New Zealand in their winter is wet. So we were like, why isn't anyone wearing shoes? So we got used to that. And then the second day, our task with the community, there must have been
There were several hundred people.
700 people from the community, not just parents, organizations, car dealerships. They all came and we worked on cleaning out the brush in this middle area and worked on planting 600 trees. And so that was really neat to work with the kids. They had a Maori celebration, which is the culture of New Zealand, which we got to participate in also. And then they do use the material that they're growing, and they actually sell it. So they make wool out of the alpacas. They make lavender soap. So that was really neat, and the kids can explain everything that they did, and it's all based on their input. The teachers are very hands-off, which is a mindset shift for us, because it was really the children were doing all of it. Even in the giving us tours, the teachers were like, okay, we'll see you later. We're like, okay. And that really allowed us to see the shift that has to happen when you go into an outdoor classroom. And even more so when we were at the IB school, it is very student-centered.
I'm just gonna add one thing. I'm gonna try to. This was the very first experience we had on our trip. Like, we drove from the airport and went straight there pretty much. And it was very apparent from like the first day of this grant experience, and I'm sure Lisa and Rachel can speak to this as well, that we went in expecting a certain, like, to learn certain things, and we came out with like so much more than we thought. Like, this school blew me away, because at Westside we're a STEM school, but this school isn't a STEM school, but they have it down. They've got kids like raising bees, alpacas, like harvesting stuff from an orchard, and they produce things with that. I mean, it is like the ultimate STEM school, and it's not like they're not considering it anything special to them. So like, that was huge for me as someone who teaches at a STEM school, to be like, this is it, like, this is so great. So I think you'll hear a lot about that, like experiences that we didn't think we were going to have, and just kind of walked into on this trip. Good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll let you talk for another minute.
Let me talk. So here we went to Hobbiton, which is where Lord of the Rings and all the Hobbit movies were made. We were there for about 4 hours. You get a whole tour. Everything there was in a 60% scale, so when we do our whole ratio unit, we have pictures of us in front of the houses. We actually have some where you could go into the houses. And that was really neat, because when the kids see it in the movies, they've all seen the movies. I personally haven't. So before we get to that, I'll watch them. But it was really neat, the perspective and how they scaled it down, and it looked real. It was also really interesting because everyone that was there, a lot of them were international students that are there on work visas. So it was really neat just to see.
We had a guy from Michigan.
Yeah, of everything, we had a guy from Michigan. We were like, what are you doing here? So that was really, really cool. And prior to that, we went to the glowworms, and we actually went down in the caves, and it was dark, and this whole experience took me completely out of my comfort zone. completely. When we first applied, I went home to my husband, I said, hey, I might be going with Iris to Australia. You've got the 4 kids, right? It'll be in the summer. And he's like, oh, sure. I call him, I'm like, so remember when I told you we might get it? Well, we're going. So for me, I think the other big lesson for me was I can appreciate now more how a student feels when we're giving them things and they're looking at us like, I have no clue what you're talking about. It completely transformed how I look at things and life and my own family and my students, and that comfort level was gone. So it was really neat as I'm trusting these people I've never met telling me to get on a boat in a cave. I'm like, oh goodness. So it was really, the experience in itself allowed me to be the student, which it's been a long time since I was a student, so. Next one?
Yeah.
Here is the MLC school. It is a school that is K through, our version of K through high school. They have been an IB school. They had just gotten accredited last May.
For MYP last year.
For MYP last year, and their MYP portion was under renovation. So we spent a whole day with their director. We got a tour of the school. It was an all-girls school, ranging from K to 12. So this group of girls in the middle, we got to spend a whole day with. So it was really neat to talk to them. They explained their IB projects that they did. Some of them had been through the MYP program at that school. So they were able to kind of share with us how the MYP piece led them into the IB piece, which I've never really, I just figured it's all one big thing. But once after talking with them, the students that went through the MYP portion were much more prepared for the IB piece. They were much more comfortable with being independent. Like the director that we met with, they only did check-ins once every 3 weeks. Each kid got 10 minutes. You got any questions? Nope, be gone. Where we're looking at it going, we've got to do hours. So I think what also we got out of it is the whole process, it's giving it back to the children and letting them, some of the projects went from training a dog to making health apps to writing short stories to how.
There was a makeup one.
There was someone that created makeup. So that whole idea that the project is based on what the students want versus what we tell them they have to do.
Personal project is great.
Yes.
Yes.
Because the 8th grade is a little different.
Correct. And so, but the students that had gone through the MYP portion felt much more prepared for the project at the end of it than the students that had come in and were just kind of thrown into it, saying, okay, now you've got to do this, you've got to do that. We were flabbergasted because the director got her students going and then left them and came and met with us. We were like, well, what's going on in your, she's like, oh no, they know what they're doing. And it's that whole idea that if you instill in the children what they're supposed to be doing, then that's what they do. And we were like, wow, that's
What do you? Mike closer.
Oh, Mike.
you.
Oh.
Oh.
I was like, no, they don't want me closer. So this was a very neat experience to see where it's going to be going, where we're going to be getting to once we have in place the MYP and the IB. And she did say it took about 6 years to get the whole process, the students, the staff. It was nice to know that they have staff there that were a little resistant, and it takes the teachers out of their comfort zone. So she said it's the patience, it's like she said, you have to address people's concerns and help them work through it. You can't just ignore it. So that was kind of refreshing. We were like, oh, we are on the right track. We are doing what we're supposed to.
Just going to add in a little bit. So we just found this school as we were searching and writing our grant, but it turns out that MLC has a lot of parallels to Groton. They were just accredited for MYP within, I believe, the last year, and they've had their diploma program for about 15 years. So they were really in a similar boat to what we're going through. They also have a brand new 712 building. So again, also very relevant to us. So I included a picture in there, just like some of the working spaces and stuff that they had. It was really neat. So they almost like built their school to like facilitate some of the things they're hoping for their kids to do. So it was really nice to see, some of the strengths and some of the struggles that they were going through, knowing that they were in a really similar position to us. Yeah, and their director was great. She gave us her email and was like, email us whenever. So it was really a cool experience, and it was neat to meet like some kids and spend the day with them too. You good? Okay. No, you talk about.
So, this is the bridge climb. The picture here, at the very top of the bridge, they look like little ants. Those are actually people. We got that picture when we were doing the whale watch on the boat, not on the bridge. This picture here is Laura on,
Like you can barely see.
that's actually Laura on the bridge. While she was doing that, I was holding down the fort in the park, having a latte, checking out the local wilderness, and their possums look nothing like our possums. There was no way I was doing this. No way. So Laura basically had to walk up ladders in the middle of traffic going both ways. And, no. So she can tell you that part because I was not doing any part of that. The neatest thing that when we came back to school was last week when I was teaching my 8th grade class, CMP3, the first version in Thinking with Mathematical Models, is all about bridges. So the first thing when we launched out that unit is that picture. And they're like, where's Miss Iris? And I'm like, well, she was crazy that day, and she was on top of the bridge, and I was staying. And so we were able to connect it. Was not what our intention was, but it made it more, the kids bought in. They were like, she really climbed the bridge? And I was like, yeah. One of the kids was like, is she really happy or is she faking? I was like, no, she was really happy. So it was one of those things. We went, she did the bridge climb, I didn't, but it was really neat to be able to apply it right off the get-go.
So if anyone's ever interested in climbing the bridge, you come out and then you actually climb like up some vertical ladders between 2 lanes of the highway. It's the busiest highway in Australia, I believe. It was crazy. It was super exciting. And then you climb up the outer arch. So our Algebra 2 kids can do stuff with the arches. Like, there's tons of applications. And it wasn't anything that we planned to teach the kids about, but it just has kind of fallen into place that way.
Yeah, nope, I was good. So I found out possums, they have possums. They consider possums their biggest deterrent. They try to get rid of possums all over the place because they eat all the birds and the insects. But their possums are like big chinchillas. They're super cute. They don't have the long tail. I'm like, so I checked on the neighborhood possums while she was up there.
Okay. You want to talk about meeting our friend?
Yeah, so we were on the train, right? Was it the train?
bus.
So our trip started with planes, trains, and automobiles. We took a car to New Haven, a train to Grand Central, a bus to JFK, and then flew to LA. In the process, we met this woman who works at a school in Connecticut, at Hotchkins up in Sharon area. And we were on the train or the bus, and we were talking about the conference, and she's like, is there any chance you guys are going to Australia? And it ended up we were on the same flight, and then there were 4 of us that were Americans.
So those are 3 of us. So you're not one of the only other Americans. It was.
This conference was a STEM-based conference. It was very much about, I would say, at a college level. It was interesting because the way the conference worked is they had keynote speakers all morning, and then in the afternoon, people actually presented projects that they were working on. Their idea of conferences, it started at 8 a.m. and it ended at 7 p.m. So that was a kind of, I was like, wait, what are we here for, till what time? It was definitely a smaller conference. We purposely went to different ones so that we each got a different experience and weren't sitting. It also allowed us to meet other people. There were lots of people from Thailand, Indonesia. And again, after talking with them, kids are kids no matter where you go in the world. So even though we were all coming from a different place and a different perspective, there were still similarities.
Good.
We're good? You want to talk about this?
So when we were planning our trip, we realized pretty, like within maybe 3 or 4 weeks of going, that we had a lot of money left. We were like, well, what should we do? And we talked about like the different options that we might want to explore. And we didn't want to change the dates of our trip. We already had our flights, and we had about a day and a half to work with. We were like, do you think we can do the Great Barrier Reef? And we made it happen. We were there for under 36 hours. It's like a 3 or 4 hour flight up to Cairns. And we went out on a day trip to the reef, and it was amazing. And we wrote it into the grant as a connection for our students because our students work with NESS and study our local water ecosystem and waterways and things. It was amazing. We met some really, really cool people on the boat. We met maybe like a 10-year-old girl who was like just super into like saving the planet, and she was like so much fun to talk to. I think Lisa got her email address, so
Yeah.
we've got to get in touch with her.
She created in her town a whole recycling program, this little 10-year-old.
Yeah. And she was so excited to meet
Sydney,
Americans.
and she presented in front of hundreds of people. She was a voice to be reckoned with. So it was really, and I was nervous again to go out on the Great Barrier Reef. I was like, I don't snorkel, and now I'm like floating. I felt like Nemo at one point, like in the movie where he looks around and no one's there. I was like, oh my gosh, where is everybody? And at one point I was like, okay, if she can do this, I can do this.
The 10-year-old.
The 10-year-old could do it, so without any fear. So it was really neat, again, to be put in that uncomfortableness when they're like, just jump off. I'm like, oh, okay. And this one's already long gone, so I'm like, okay, well, at least I know we all have to come back to the same boat, so.
Yeah. So that was kind of like an unexpected sort of ending to our trip, but it was incredible. So we were really thankful to have that. And our students are actually going to NESS on Thursday this week, so once they have that experience, we can start sharing some of this with them as well.
And these are our live pictures. Laura wore a GoPro, so these are actual pictures that we saw.
Yep. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Nerve-wracking.
A little nerve-wracking. Yeah, a little nerve-wracking. Anything else?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Okay, hold on. You got to take over for a
Okay,
second.
so I think one of the things, like, we went into this, and I think one of the lessons I learned, very NYP based, is you can go in with intentions, what you're gonna get out of it, but we got so much more. And I think was invigorating, it's inspiring to teach our students that even though we're standing up and we're gonna tell you this is what your outcome's gonna be, there's so much more that goes into it. I came home, I have 4 children, all of my kids are like, Mom, you're completely different. In a good way. And even my 6th grader that's at Westside now, I let them, for me, it was to put myself in their shoes. And had I not done this trip, I would have never had that experience of being in the unknown. And it was very empowering to put my kids in that perspective, to put our students, I'm excited to put our students in that mode. And even like when we roll out The Hobbit, not even telling them what it is, let them figure out. I think one of the big things is that I learned is we need to stop giving all the answers. They have to figure it out. They have to be empowered to own it. Kind of like with the Sydney Bridge climb. What else?
I wanted just for you guys to speak to the fact that when we did walkthroughs back last fall, we had noticed that you took the shapes and design unit as 2 7th grade teachers, and they teamed on it to create an MYP plan on creating an outdoor STEM environment for our new middle school. And so with architects and design, so this was really an offshoot from some of that. And we're going to make it happen. We are. We're going to make this happen, and we know exactly where it's going. So I just wanted to say kudos to them and them for getting this additional education.
And I think what's neat is we did end up, what's funny is when you're spending other people's money, it's really hard. So by the time the trip ended, we still had money left over, and we reached out to the grant, and they were like, buy supplies that you can use. So at Westside, we've bought a portable shed, so that once we build it, we thought it was like a duplex, like put it together. We actually need real tools, so we'll get it put together. But then it can come with us. We bought rakes and gloves, and we've bought everything so that we can start right now with our students cleaning up the front of the school. One of the things, like when we asked at the Hooker and Newey School, they had tires donated from car dealerships that were old tires, and that's what they used for their beds to build the lavender in. So we were like, one of the things that we need to start doing is looking into the community, going to car dealerships, going to organizations that, to them, it's their trash. To us, we can use a tire and fill it with dirt and start a lavender field on our own. So that's what, we have all the supplies that will then go with us. So it's exciting. So ours was very indoor-based. We'll pass off to Rachel, who was not indoor-based and actually was in the outdoor classroom.
Okay, so they went at the beginning of the summer. I went right before school started. So like Susan had mentioned, last fall we did a project with our students where we kind of taught them about outdoor classrooms and said, what if we could have one at the new school? And the students were super excited about that. So for their project, they created blueprints of what they would like to see in a new middle school. So I really wanted to learn more about outdoor classrooms and what that actually looked like. So I found this really amazing conference in Sweden. It happened to be the week before school started, so that was cutting it close. But I also thought, well, if I'm over there, I want to be able to expand my experience, and what else can I do? So I was able to write the grant to kind of have two purposes. One was the outdoor classroom conference. The other was the first week I was able to visit cultural and historical sites in both London, England, and Stockholm, Sweden, and be able to use that time to look at these different sites through to look for cross-curricular projects and ways I could collaborate with colleagues and create more authentic math learning experiences for our students. So I spent 3 jam-packed days in London going around to as many sites as I could: Westminster Abbey, changing of the guards, Buckingham Palace. This middle picture is from the Churchill War Rooms, which was a pretty incredible experience. That's where Churchill and his inner circle, it was their bunker, their underground bunker, where they were actually planning the Allied route to victory during the Second World War. And it was pretty crazy and incredible to see down there. This was where it actually happened. So that was amazing. And some of the other math applications that I got from the trip, so those on the right, that's some of the data that was on the wall in the Churchill war rooms. So yeah, it was it was talking about the bombings and the fighter pilots and the casualties and all those things, and it was definitely making me think about how can we provide our students with authentic data that connects to their history classes, and not just provide them with, made up data about favorite ice cream flavors and basketball statistics and things like that. On the left is, that's called the Cosmati pavement. It was in the early 1200s. It's on the floor of Westminster Abbey, and it connects a lot to our two-dimensional geometry with tessellations and the geometric patterns in there as well. So those are just 2 examples of things that I saw while I was in London that I was thinking about how we can now apply it to our students' lives. And then I went to Stockholm, and in Stockholm, again, I was a tourist and got to see so many amazing things. Coincidentally, there was this giant cultural festival that had a lot of STEM connections there. You can see some giant globes that are through the streets. There was kids in the streets with life-size, they were this tall, compasses with chalk, and they were making circles and doing all these things with circles in the streets. On the right is the Vasa, which was a ship that, I don't know if you know anything about it. I had never heard about it, but it was incredible. It sunk on its maiden voyage in, I believe it was the early 1500s. It sunk on its maiden voyage after 15, 20 minutes.
I was going to say, within the first hour.
Yeah, I think it was within 20 minutes. It sunk. And then in the 1950s, they were able to recover this ship. And it took years and years, but they were able to recover it. And because of the cold waters, everything was intact. So that was the actual ship, and it was pretty incredible, the artwork and the details, and just seeing it up close, it was fascinating. So that was incredible. So after that, so that was my first week, jam-packed. And then I went to the Outdoor Classroom Conference. So there was 25 participants from 11 different countries. I was the only American. They were all like, what are you doing here? Why are you here? How did you find us? And there was one person from the UK and one person from Australia. Everybody else, English was not their native language, but most of the time I felt like the person from the UK and Australia, it also felt like English wasn't their native language because our English was so different, we found. It was very funny. But it was just really amazing, all the cultural learning that I had from all these participants. And all of us are teachers, and our schools are so different, but all of us were kind of united by this mission to bring our students outdoors. One of the, our experiences in terms of our actual classrooms and our schools are very different. The woman from Australia, her school is very outdoor classroom oriented. One of the women from Austria, she teaches in Vienna, Austria, in an inner city school that they barely have a slab of pavement outside. So we're coming from very different places, but all of it was how can we connect this to our own learning. A lot of it was social skills we learned through doing. So we spent a week outside, rain or shine, in the woods, learning about different activities that we could bring back to our students. How can we apply it? Learning about, the research, the literature of it, the health benefits, so many things about how we could apply it, and it was just amazing. So what I found during that time is that outdoor learning can look so many different ways. It doesn't always have to be this big, crazy experience, which I'll get to on the next slides. But you can see about how physical education can happen with those yoga type positions and things. The center, that top center picture, we had some science and art connections. We were able to collect leaves and flowers and make imprints using a hammer and cloth, which was amazing. We did a lot of outdoor cooking. We did many botany lessons, learning about the different plants and wildlife and nature. In the top left, we were on a canoe ride, and we got caught in an absolute downpour and soaking wet. So just thinking about how being outside can teach you a lot of things outside of the actual curriculum, things like flexibility and teamwork and going with the flow, and really just appreciating nature. And I definitely was thinking that I don't think our students have those opportunities enough. We definitely have some great field trips and partnerships with Ness and Project Joe and some other ones as mentioned, but it was just really cool to spend a whole week outside, and everything we did, it was like, well, why can't you do this outside? We had a lecture. Why do we have to be inside to have a lecture? Can't we just sit outside? And in the bottom there, we were having a talk about, I don't remember exactly what, but it was some kind of lecture about the pedagogy of outdoor learning, and we were sitting among moss and trees and all that, and just with the bugs, and just appreciating that and thinking, well, why can't we do this with our students?
Lord's like,
So we also had some pretty fun outdoor adventures. So if you look in that top left, that little arrow, that's a cave that I went down into. You can see in the bottom right, somebody's climbing down into that. So we went caving in the pitch black down there. And similar to what Lisa was talking about pushing ourselves outside of our comfort zones and thinking, this is what we ask our students to do a lot every day. Well, they're not climbing in a dark cave. That was crazy. Well, they're not doing that. For them, their math project may seem that way. We did a lot of hiking and canoeing, and it was awesome. We also had the opportunity to visit a Swedish school that does a lot they do a lot outside. So as you can see right there, what I'm standing in, that's just a very simple structure. It doesn't need to cost a lot to make an outdoor classroom. It's just built with some wooden planks, and they would have classes and lessons out there. On the top right was this really cool turf field that they had that was multi-purpose that they could use for soccer or basketball, and it had nets. And at recess, it was amazing to just see the kids running around and how they were engaged in play and their negotiating skills and all these soft skills and things that are so important for our students to learn about how to interact and communicate, and things that, again, don't always happen within the walls of a structured classroom environment. They also had a woodworking shop, and we went to handicrafts class, and they were learning all these amazing things. And this was a 4th grade class that was in there building tables. And just, they had the saws on the wall and these machines, and they would just go up and get them. And we control so much of what our students do, and if we, this is how they're taught about what's normal and what's expected, and it teaches them responsibility. And again, the way that we had conversations with the kids about their learning was definitely really inspiring about what education can look like. One other thing that I really loved about this school was their cafeteria. So in Sweden, they are not allowed to bring home lunch. Everybody gets school lunch, and it's served buffet style, as you can see. And on the right, that is the food waste from over 300 students. It was about this tall in the bucket. Our cafeteria does not look like that. And they had healthy food options, and they learned that, and that's the way it was, and they sorted all of their food waste. So thinking about how we could potentially apply that to our schools and teaching the students about composting and food waste and things, I think there's so many opportunities that we can really latch onto. And that was just some outdoor cooking that we did. We made soup and bread over an open flame. Again, just teaching the students about how you can grow things from the earth and then cook them, and giving back to all of that was a great experience. So the Now What is really similar to what Laura and Lisa had said, was just the hope of focusing more on some global math problems and cross-curricular collaborations. But the big thing, as Susan mentioned, that we're really hoping to achieve is to build the outdoor classroom at Groton Middle School. These are some pictures of our students last year working on the project, where it was just kind of a pipe dream, but now we're hoping that, it's closer, and we're hoping that we can really make this happen. So we looked at, you can see we were looking at real blueprints of outdoor spaces. That bottom right is a sample of student work of a 7th grader designed of what she would like in an outdoor classroom. So we're kind of, in the next couple of weeks, going to be kicking off this round, and we know that this year our project's going to be even bigger and better because we have some tangible hands-on experiences, and we're going to be working with Susan as well about what this means in terms of the next steps and what permissions do we need to get, and who can we involve, like Lisa was talking about in terms of the community, and how can we reach out to landscape organizations nearby and places that will donate, wood and things that we need to build our outdoor space. So a little plug if any of you have any connections or ideas. We're looking for all the support that we can get. But we're really excited about what this can look like for our students, because we think it really could be transformational in terms of producing students and the next generation that really cares about our environment, because as we know, it's a really important thing, and we have the space to do it. So we're excited about what this can look like, and grateful for our experiences that we had, that we feel like we're better equipped to now lead them in this quest and this venture. So
That's it.
Wow.
I have to also do a shout out. These 3 math teachers also worked on curriculum. They were part of the 110 group, along with their colleagues that are here, Michelle McCreskey and Lauren Ball, who did literacy for me a couple times over the summer. So, and they're here to support their colleagues. So it's a tremendous teamwork. Thank you.
thank you.
Rosemary?
Thank you for showing that learning is a lifelong project, and it can be fun.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
Definitely can.
Should be fun, right?
It should be fun, yeah.
Incredibly excited. I'd be happy to help you with any outdoor planning, IPPs, so I can help you there.
Thank you.
And anything else you need?
Yes.
I'm also a science teacher, so.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're hoping to form some type of committees and things about what this is going to look like moving forward.
I'm
so
very excited.
that's
And I
awesome.
want to go with you on the reef.
No, it's awesome.
It's a bucket list item. I think for me, I'm continuously amazed. Lisa, I know your craft because my children had the good fortune of having you involved in their lives when they were at Westside. And I'm assured that if you're hanging out with those other 2, that they're just as amazing. But for me, it's always how much I get amazed about when people get excited about enhancing their craft. That this seems to be so much more than just a job for you, that this is a passion and it's a craft and it's an art. And so I just am very appreciative of the fact that you got to share with us your journeys over the summer. And once again, thank you for your excitement and your enthusiasm. And we are a better district because of you.
Actually, what you're saying is very much like the kind of the goal of Fun for Teachers. When you go in and apply, they say it does not have to be about your subject area that you teach. They are very much about you finding something that you're passionate about and going with that. So I mean, both of ours were math related, but they didn't have to be.
Yep.
So it's a really, really cool opportunity for teachers anywhere to apply.
I'm just curious about the T-shirts, what the symbol means.
Really good question.
So we're it used to be an apple that had, it used to be that. So when we went to our dinner in New Haven and we were all like, what's that? Because we were expecting apple. We're not sure why they changed it, but this is
Well,
what
if-
they're.
You went to New Haven, so it might have had to do with pizza. So-
Maybe.
Yeah, they're rebranding it, and there's something called the Ramsden Project that's connecting all the educators, and this just seems to be their rebranding. I think maybe it's their strategy to get people to ask about it, because people do ask.
It works.
Yeah, it works, but I think we need a better answer. So I think when we go in November, we're going to ask, so we're better equipped. We'll get back to you on that one.
And
Thank you.
Even since we've been back, we're now in an internet network.
Yeah.
That we're getting weekly, like someone
yeah.
reached out today whose dad was in the Navy in Groton.
Oh, wow.
And has an outdoor classroom. She's like, I'd love to touch base. So we're getting emails regularly on, this is where I went, this is what I did. Let's share ideas. So it's opened up this whole, when we talk about global, we're no longer living in our little Groton bubble.
Yeah.
It's expanded us everywhere.
And there's a lot of teachers in, specifically at Westside, who are starting to think about what they want to apply to do, which is super exciting. And you can apply every 5 years, so. you can go here.
All right, so if there's not, Gretchen, do you have one last comment? Because we need to move on. I'm just kind of curious about, did they have slippers? The kids with no shoes on? Did they-
Oh, this-
And it's winter?
They were barefoot.
In the winter?
Yeah.
So,
In,
It was
They
about
had
50. I mean, it was rainy and gross,
Nope.
but they.
When they go in there.
awesome. Okay, I'm going to move us on, but thank you so much for what you. Thank you. All right, so I'm moving on to the citizen portion of the agenda. And this is the part of our meeting where we welcome comments from citizens, and each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentation should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during the comments from citizen portion of the board meeting. Citizens should make their presentation from the podium and state their names and addresses for the record. Ms. Joan, did anyone sign up? Is there anyone in the office in the audience? All right, hearing none, we're going to move on to student representative report. Hey, friends.
Hello. I'm going to start off with updates
I
from
don't
last
think our
meeting.
mics are on.
Is it-
Anybody's mic.
I'm kind of soft-spoken, so I need the mic.
say anything yet. It's not on yet, I don't think.
Try it now, Addie.
Testing.
No?
Nope.
I don't even think it's on.
Testing.
You know what, Sam, could we give Addie that microphone maybe?
I don't think
That's
ours-
Well, that doesn't work
possible.
either.
Is there an
Testing
on
1,
button
2, 3. I can just.
No.
I can try and yell if that's easier.
Can you hear Mark?
Are ours working?
It's turned down.
Okay, so for us, it sounds like she's not talking into a microphone. But if you can hear it for the purposes of the video, I think if we can just have our voices a little bit louder, I think that will be
I'll
good.
try. Okay. I'm a little soft-spoken, so hopefully this works, but it's fine. I'm going to start off with updates from last meeting. So the 10th and 11th graders had their pictures day on this past Thursday and Friday, and the seniors have been finishing up and choosing their senior portraits for the yearbook. Seniors have also finished their parking spots, which is really exciting, and if any of you haven't already, I encourage you to go take a drive through the parking spots because there's some really, really good ones. And then also on September 18th, the author of Hey Kiddo, Jarrett Krasaska, I think, he came and he talked about his book, Hey Kiddo, which was the One Book, One Region. You probably know about it. I know I saw Dr. Ackerman there. And it was a really great experience. All the sophomores went, and also any other kids who could get out of class and were able to go. It was a great experience. He talked a lot about his methodology and his life and different things, and I thought it was a great experience.
You don't have to pass it.
Ow.
Hello.
Forgot about that.
Okay, as long as y'all can hear me, then.
You all right?
Okay.
All right, so class council updates. All grades excluding freshmen, because at the time they didn't have a class council, created design for our pep rally shirts, which is the last week of October. I believe it's the 28th to the November 1st. All profits from the pep rally shirts will go to our respected class office council. We started handing out order forms last Wednesday and during Friday during our commitment to learning time, otherwise known as CTL. The seniors have completed a Bridge Market fundraiser and are currently planning for our homecoming, which is November 2nd. Yes, November 2nd.
I think so.
The juniors have different fundraisers planned out for this month, but nothing yet approved or finalized. The junior class council also keeps growing in members, which I'm very excited about. So the class officers decided to make 3 committees within the council: the finance committee, advertising committee, and planning committee. Each one of them has a head of the department, which meets with all the other teachers or advisors. The sophomores have a planned fundraiser for October 30th, and they're also planning on organizing smaller ones such as Moe's 99 Restaurant and etc. Freshman class officer elections were today. Actually, there was only 4 people that signed up to apply, so they didn't have elections. The people that got it are going to have a meeting one of these days. I'm not sure when, but they're going to figure out which position that they're going to get, because there was only 4 of them, so they didn't really have elections.
But it would have taken place.
Yeah.
Moving on to Unified Sports. Unified Sports had their first meeting 2 weeks ago, and tomorrow, Tuesday the 24th, is their first official practice for soccer, so they're very excited about that. And for Fitch Music Department, there's a couple of things to say. First of all, we've started Tri-M at Fitch High School, so that's a Music National Honor Society. It was actually brought to the attention of Mr. LaFave through students, so it was definitely student-backed, and there was people very excited about it. So it's going to work basically as National Honor Society, except all students have to be a part of a musical ensemble at school. There we go. And they have to complete volunteer hours that relate to music. For example, volunteering at marching band games or concerts, or volunteering through helping out at senior centers with music, other things like that. And so I'm a part of it, so I'm very excited about that. There will be an induction ceremony for Tri-M on October 23rd, 2019 at Fitch High School. And Tri-M members are actually starting off the year with a fundraiser for the Bahamas, so to raise money for the recovery of the Bahamas after they were hit by a hurricane. The money is being collected from all CTLs, and the CTL who raises the most donations will get a free breakfast from Bridge Market. So that's the incentive, and also to help out Bahamas, because that's very important. And then on Saturday, October 19th, Fitch is hosting the 7th annual Sounds by the Sea marching band competition. The competition will start at 5:00 p.m. and we'll be hosting different schools and marching bands from different schools. Any more information is on the Falcon Music Boosters Facebook page.
Okay, so the Renaissance Club. Renaissance Club, they finalized their birthday board for the fall months, which include September, October, and November. The board is located outside of the guidance office in the flag hallway, which we consider our main hallway at Fitch.
For homecoming, the homecoming dance the date has been finalized, so it's on Saturday, November 2nd, from 7 to 10:30. It's in the small gym at Fitch. The theme is Starry Night. And I made the tickets, and they're very cool. They have the Vincent Van Gogh Starry Night. Just gotta shout myself out. And tickets will be $20 and sold during lunch waves, and snacks and refreshments will be sold at the dance.
Okay, updates on Fitch Athletics. Football was victorious against Xavier Falcons this past Saturday, September 21st, 2019, with a score of 49-20. Volleyball was also victorious against Montville this past Friday, September 20th, 2019. Junior varsity won 2 out of 2 games, and varsity won 3 out of 3 games. Shout out to our Fitch Falcon Athlete of the Week with 362 votes for September 9th to September 15th, Sebastian Duffy scoring 3 goals and a win against Woodstock, and help with an assist in a 2-1 win versus Westerly.
That's it.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're moving on to the superintendent administrative reports.
Just a couple of quick things. One is, as the three teachers were talking and two of our colleagues are in the audience here, both middle schools have solicited teachers to volunteer to be part of a transition team. So they're going to be meeting over the next, several months, but they're going to start right away. And it will expand from teachers to parents to students, but we're well on our way to figuring out what needs to be done to consolidate the two schools. But we got some good news this morning. We were concerned that the new middle school might have to have 2 or 3 different themes. And in the problem with that would have been trying to diversify the student body. We wanted to make sure it was 100% diversified. So we made a recommendation that the middle school become a STEAM middle school, so that we would be able to use all of the money for the arts grant and all of the money for the STEM grant and put them together. And we would put all the students together and diversify them by socioeconomic level. And some of our colleagues who are teaching STEM-like English can continue to teach STEM-like English. And the people at in Cutler who are teaching artsy type science can continue to do that. So we received the information this morning that the U.S. Department of Education approved it. They agreed with our argument that the best way to totally diversify the school would be by having it a STEAM school. So we're off and running there. That was a huge decision, and I fretted because, frankly, we didn't have the money for a third theme. A third theme would have been bad for a lot of reasons. Financially, it would have been very difficult. And then the last thing is, although the money is not actually in the right accounts yet, but the Child and Family Service got approved for another school-based health center that will go in at Mary Morrison School. And so we have a nurse's office that's set up. Sam is going to talk about the facility changes that will be needed. The staffing should begin, we're hoping, by mid-October. So it'd be another full-service, both nurse practitioner and clinician, a psychological clinician. So that money came from the state. So we're very appreciative to our state legislators who helped push this thing through. And that's it for me.
Great. Our assistant superintendent are you ready for your presentation?
I am. Sam's
Wow,
gonna-
I am fully mic'd.
I am. Sam is going to pass out a timeline for state testing data. I shared this with you last year, but I'm going to reorient you because it does take about a year for the state to get us all of the pieces of data and for us to be able to report back.
We need some signatures.
So the data we're going to be presenting tonight is actually the FY19 data, the test that the students took in April and May last spring. And it was the SBAC for grades 3 through 8. And it was the NGSS for grades 5, 8, and 11, but we have not received those, that information back yet. And then SAT for grade 11. In June, we reviewed a report card, but it was for the year prior. So it takes like a whole year. In June, July, we really received back this, the results, but they were released only to the superintendent. So it was embargoed. They had to validate it. So we weren't able to have that release until just in September. So the data has gone home to the students with a parent letter. So every parent received their specific data on their students with information about it. And that was just last week. We have tonight's presentation, which I'm going to give you kind of the district view, kind of if you think about this as kind of the landscape, the hierarchy of data compared to state data, the DRG, which is District Reference Group, and then the local data, and even some trends. We'll come back to you, though, with a deeper dive, so our principals have the data, and they're looking at it from the school perspective, and they're looking at it for every single child. The expectation from the state, the expectation from our superintendent, from our board, is that every child makes growth. And there's a target number of the amount of growth that's expected from the state. So we want to see that kids who are in intervention or special education are making growth. We want to see that our kids who are meeting the goals are still making growth, and even kids who may be advanced are making growth. So every child is making growth. So that's going to be the deep dive that teachers are looking at for their own classroom, and it'll help inform their instruction on what needs to be done. So you'll have the elementary principals next month coming in to talk about their data and also what is the action plan. What are they going to do? That becomes their strategic school plan. And then we'll have the middle schools come to you like they've done in the past to do the same thing. And then the high school will share the SAT information. I'm going to give you kind of a view of it now, but they'll be able to bring you the action plan and what they're planning on doing with it.
Rita? Before you move on, Susan, when we get the deeper dive, will we see all the levels? Level
You will
1
see-
through 4 for our students? I mean, not just like the average in level 3, but when the teachers report,
Yes,
we
yes.
see
We can show you all the levels, we'll show you all the grade
how
levels.
many are below, how
Yep,
many
yep.
are almost there, and
Right.
what are we doing for those students that are almost there?
Absolutely, that will all be part of it. That's a really good question.
Thank you.
And then
Thank you.
the accountability index comes back, that kind of reports back on how the district's doing, and that's usually early winter. And I didn't put it on here, but of course, April and May, we'll be testing the kids FY20, and we'll get our report card on this group of kids, which are the 18, 19 kids in June. So I just wanted you to see on a timeline how this works, because I feel like I come back to you every other month with more information. So know that this is kind of the big picture view. I wanted to reorient you because it goes to what Rita was just speaking about. If you look at the levels, level 1 is students that do not meet the achievement standard. Level 2 is approaching the achievement standard. 3 is meeting the achievement standard, and 4 is exceeding the achievement standards. These graphs will show you the 3s and the 4s. You can do the math and subtract from 100 to see what the 1 and 2s are, but I can understand that you would want to see a breakdown of all the levels, which we can do. When you see blue, think blue for book, and you've got your ELA. When you see math is green, you can think of money or accounting. So that's what helped me. So, and then the state, we just made it gray. So when you see that, that will help you to understand. The first set of graphs we're going to look at are the percent at level 3 or above by district reference group, which are the DIRG that we're in, socioeconomically and size-wise, and other districts that really are similar to Groton. And then, of course, we like to look at our neighbors, so the local districts will also be reported on. This first one is by DIRG. Blue is for book, it's the ELA. And if you look, we wanted to know which of these districts in our DIRG are alliance districts. And if you look, all but Plainfield, Stratford, and the Gilbert School are alliance districts like Groton. If you look at Groton, Groton is 59.7% of our kids meeting 3 and 4. The state average is 55.7. The DIRG average is 49.6, and Groton was the top district in this group. The green is for math, and so again, for the DIRG, we do see that most of these districts, again, are alliance except for Plainfield, Stratford, and the Gilbert School. Winchester is a small district, and so they have many fewer students taking the test. But Groton had a 49% of the population meeting the standard or exceeding. The state average was 48.1, and the JERG average was 40.4. And I think we were like ranked number 2 when you look at the others in comparison. I think one of the things we like to look at is that average greater than the state average and greater than the JERG or the local. So that's something that we always keep our eye on.
So I have another quick question.
Rita?
When does the state review the DERGs and maybe you're moved out of one and into another? I mean, how, does that ever happen?
They do,
They
yes,
do, because
yeah.
it seems as if, maybe they need to review this. I like a little town like Winchester, in with like of cities like Groton,
Right.
and Middletown, Bristol, and, it just seems that maybe we should be in a different one too. We're kind of near the bottom of the DERGs.
Yes. I think we're G.
We're G.
And it's a third, it goes to I. It goes to I. So we're third from the bottom. I think they probably use census data, and the answer is yes. They review the data because it has to do with income and education level and all those socioeconomic factors. But yeah, I actually will be with the state this week. I'll see if I can find out.
Yeah, interesting.
So this graph represents ELA for local school districts. So local are really just our neighboring districts. So it goes from East Lyme, Griswold, Ledyard, Montville, New London and Norwich are the 2 other Alliance districts on this local list. When you look at the local average is 59.8, and Groton is kind of near that average at 59.7 and above the state average at 55.7. But you do look at neighbors like East Lyme, North Stonington, Stonington, and Waterford, and theirs is very high. I just have to tell you that it's different with socioeconomics, but the kinds of things that they're doing, because I'm part of a assistant superintendent's network group through LEARN, and we collaborate all the time with these local Southeastern Connecticut. And, they also are doing Teachers College. They are also doing some of the math inquiry, the science inquiry. So a lot of the presentations we actually share with one another and invite each other back and forth. So we're doing some of the same things, and I think we are seeing some growth because of that. Then in math, we are at a 79%. The state was at 48.1. The average for our local neighbors are 54.2. And you see some real standouts like North Stonington and Stonington, Waterford and East Lyme again. And then of course New London and Norwich being the only other 2 Alliance districts. One of the things I thought we could look at tonight is something called Target Achieved. And I talked to you about the growth model multiple times, but just to reorient you, every child gets a target number. So let's say a child needs to grow more than a year's worth of growth. Let's say they're in that one range that you were asking about.
Yeah.
Their target may be a 75. When we look at the target, if the child doesn't get that 75, they get 0 points. And out of, let's say, 100 or, but if they got a 74, that would be 99% growth. So when you look at the percentage of target achieved, you get a more accurate picture from Ajit at the state. He says that really gives you a better indicator rather than a yes/no kind of thing. Yes, they made it, no, they didn't. Because a child could be almost there, but not quite, and or they could be over. They could be, let's say, surpass their target, then they might be 106%, not just 100%. So this gives us some more information. So when we looked at district reference groups, our district reference group in ELA, it's kind of interesting because you see that the growth is very similar. It's kind of a range of about 50 to 66 So it's kind of closer, neck and neck, with our DERG. So we were a 61.3. The state average was a 59.9 of target achieved growth, and then the DERG average was a 58.2. So we weren't necessarily the top district that Gilbert School and Vernon and Killingly. Interestingly, Killingly took on Teachers College about 8 years ago. We know that because Steve Wheeler, one of our principals, Chris Dolphinase, another one of our principals, had come from that area. So they've had that model for a little longer. So we've actually gone to visit them to find out more. And then in math, the district reference group, our percentage of target achieved is 69.5%. The state average was 62.5, and the DERG average was 58.6. And then again, there's not as big a range in these scores if you notice. You know, that the growth is very similar in the different districts. And then there's average percentage of target achieved for English language arts comparing local districts. Again, you see a closer resemblance with the percent of target achieved, even in our local comparison. So Groton at a 61.3, the state at 59.9, and the local average is a 59.4. We're definitely better than the average, but the average is balanced by your Norwich through your North Stonington.
Right.
So. And then for mathematics, 69.5. The state is 62.5, and the local is 62.2. Again, a range, but not quite as huge a range as what we saw of getting to a 3 or a 4. So the growth looks like it's happening pretty consistently, which is a good thing. You want to see all kids grow, whether they're in Norwich, New London, Groton, Stonington. We want to see kids growing everywhere. One of the things we thought we would look at, now remember this is a kind of a high level look, so this is trends in ELA and math over time. So when you look at students receiving a 3 proficient or above in ELA over the 5 years, starting back in 2014-15, Groton is in the blue, the state is in the gray, and you see this kind of climb, steady climb. Slow but steady wins the race, says the tortoise to the hare. The state kind of did a little roller coaster ride and dipped down, so we're definitely above the state, but, you know, interesting to look at trends, you know? And then in mathematics, again, we're in the green, so we're kind of taking that trend line is going up. There was a little dip in the 17-18, but continued to go up. 18-19. So you can see though where we started in 14-15 at 38.6%. So that tells you something.
But Susan, was that a different test?
No, this is the SBAC looking at levels 3 and 4 students over time. So going from 14-15. Let me see if I can get this to work.
Right,
So
I was
14,
just
15.
wondering, so was that the practice year? Was that the first year that they administered it?
I think the practice, yeah, it probably was the first year we could have gotten growth. The practice year might have been the year before.
Wow, it's
This is the first year we started keeping track.
Really? They've
Yeah.
been, it's been here that long?
What, that old?
Well, Mike and I have been here since then,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So, but it's kind of, we like to look at data in that way too. Now, this is the average percentage of target achieved. Again, kids making growth over time. And that's kind of stayed pretty, that's kind of, I don't want to call it a flat line, but that's kind of talk about really steady. Where the state kind of took a deep dive there, they came up and then went down again. So there's again, the state looks more like a roller coaster ride. And then in mathematics, we can be proud. In Groton, in the green, you know, we were here above the state, 65.4. We went down below the state, kind of came back up last year, close to the state, and then way above in targeted achieved, percentage of target achieved. Now, SAT data by both district reference group and local school districts. Just orienting you, ELA, books are blue, so, and Groton's in the red. So the average, now remember that with SAT, we always thought of the average for SAT as like a 500 in ELA and math. But in our state, the average is now 514. In Groton, it was a 516. The DERG average was 489. We put NFA in here because Norwich doesn't have a high school. Many of their kids do go to NFA, but other students from around this whole area go to NFA as well. And really, if you look across, Groton really is in the lead if this were a horse race, but it's not. It's watching students grow, so. And then in the green for mathematics, Groton was a 502, the state average was 500, the DERG average was 464, and again, we ranked on top of that for SATs too, for this DERG.
Lee?
Is this from the SATs that all our kids took the SATs?
Yes,
Is that the same in other of the DERGs and whatever?
everyone, the
Same
state.
test.
The
Same
state.
test, same day.
Juniors. Okay, so everybody took.
Yeah.
The SATs.
All 11th
Eddie took
graders
it.
take an SAT for the state test. There was conversation about giving it an SBAC, but since kids had to take the SAT anyway for entrance to college, so the state pays for this SAT, so that all of our students take it
So
across the state.
this is even kids who are not planning on going to college.
Oh,
Correct.
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's good to
It's
know.
100% of our
Yeah.
11th graders.
That's
take it.
very good.
That's another
These are
chart, but we really
phenomenal
work
scores.
towards 100% of our kids' participation, and it does come in somewhere between 98, 99, and 100% in every school, so that's the good news. Now, when we look at locals, Groton again is in the red, 516, and you can see that there is a lot of really good scores in this southeastern Connecticut. The state average was 514, but in southeastern Connecticut, or with our neighbors, the average was a 522. So, where Stonington was all the way up to a 572. You know, New London was a 442, which, you know, that's, I think, impressive for the city
Yes.
school. And I know that teachers are integrating SAT type questions in their units. So we're really trying to get kids more comfortable. I know that the Apex has an actual tutorial that kids can take free of charge, so our kids can get more ready. So we'll be advertising that more in the future and making sure we also do a series of PSATs in 9th grade in the fall and in the spring, 10th grade in the fall and the spring. And so we're really watching and analyzing that data too to help us.
I have one other question. We were not able to see what the new SATs would look like because it was the first time with the new SAT. Can we see it now?
We can get sample questions for SAT, sure.
We can actually see what it was like last
Yeah,
year?
yeah, and we
I
can
would
get
like
sample
that.
SBAC questions. That's a future COW, I think.
Okay.
I would love for you guys to see.
I would like that too.
What's kind of expected of a 5th grader, of an 8th grader,
That
of
would
an
be nice.
11th grader.
Yeah, thank you. That's
Susan,
great.
I just had a question for Addie. Did you get your report back?
Like, you mean the score
Yeah.
of the
Score
different?
plus the analysis?
Yes.
See, when we were in college, we got a score. We could show you that.
In high school. Yes.
They get an analysis of their score that says, no, you're good at analytical stuff, but you're not so good at
Yeah, we never
whatever.
had that.
Yeah,
No, we don't say that.
that's all new.
It's
And we
nice.
could, that would be really helpful for you to look
Yeah.
at, I think.
I would like to see that too.
Yeah, maybe we could do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Gretchen?
This is like antique information. My high school gave us a test that gave us that data
freshman and sophomore year, then we took our PSATs junior year. So we had those weird little numbers, and I was told I should be in a boys' high school with my scores. It was an all-girls high school. I was very analytical.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
similar to PSAT, Gretchen. We do that for the PSAT, and the kids get their score back both in the fall and the spring, and they're able to see what they have improved on. So we do that.
Okay.
It's called the PSAT.
Yeah, this was
Pre.
we took PSATs. This was like a CAT, California Aptitude Test of
okay.
sorts. I don't remember. I was 14. All right, we're gonna move on.
I
Rita?
have one
So-
comment. I think this is amazing. It's a lot of work, and thank you very much for putting
And then
this
in
all together.
mathematics, you know, you can kind of see the growth, or the 502 above the state, above the local average. That's it.
I know.
That's it for now. I'll be back with more.
Sue, I think you and Mike have always touted that if we put new interventions, or we put different ways to have our kids learn and think, good things would happen.
It's like the field of dreams.
It's like, it's just,
That's how I
this
feel.
is-
It is a field of dreams.
Thank you very much. This has been a
They're speaking
sort of
proof of
awe,
it all.
this has been sort of awe-inspiring. All right, so I am going to move us on. So the next person is the business manager. Ken, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I am doing dandy. What good news do you have for us tonight?
I have some good news. Attachment number 2 is our updated object code report. And on our budget of $77,438,090, we currently have a projected unexpended of $117,213. So we're still on track to meet budget. Everything is going along as expected.
Wow. That's tight.
Getting a little better.
Yeah, it's a little better than last month.
All right. Great. Any questions on the object code? No. All right, moving on.
For our health insurance, we got July claims report in. This is attachment number 3, and for the month, we're at 86.8% of budget, which is, that is very good. Compares to last July at 98.9%. So, you know, there is, you know, a difference of a month. We really have to see August. Those are the 2 months that typically could be higher before we get too excited. But 86.8% is good. We're in a good place.
Any questions about the insurance coverage stuff? All right.
All right, and that brings us to our budget calendar, attachment number 4. So we anticipate kicking off our FY21 budget in a couple of weeks. We anticipate that right before Thanksgiving, we'll get back information from the principals and start to prepare some draft documents, which we will review internally through the beginning part of December. We plan on a review with the Finance and Facilities Committee mid-December. And then Dr. Grenier will present to you our draft budget on the 6th of January. We have 6 budget workshops scheduled for January and February, along with the public hearing and the joint Board of Ed, Town Council, and RTM meeting, which will bring us to Monday, February 24th is when you will hopefully adopt our budget for FY21, and it will go to Town Council and RTM from there.
Great. Wow.
A lot of work.
A lot of work. Once again, thank you very much. Any questions about the budget schedule? Actually, what's nice for us to have this ahead of time is that you can begin to block out your calendar to make sure that, you know, those times have been free. Because my guess is that they're not etched in stone, but they're pretty much etched in stone.
Well, we have 2 months, essentially. The board the whole month of January, the whole month of February, and then need to do all the work.
All right, so the next is the buildings and grounds. Hello, Mr. Kilpatrick, how are you?
Very well. You? So, Dr. Grenier mentioned that we have a school-based health center coming to Mary Morrison School, and it will be there for the 2 years. And so what we've decided to do was to convert a room within the building for the nurses' station for that. And Paul Tedeschi, as our plumber, has finished installing the utilities, sink, and so on and so forth for that. And we've also had a job site trailer delivered to the site and installed. We're going to rent that for 2 years as opposed to spending far more money to move the trailer from the other school over there. And we've got that set up on the back left-hand side of the school so the kids can go in and out through a door that can be operated with a key fob. And so our guys, Dan Strang, Joe Montgomery, and Toby Biederstadt, have now installed all of the electrical, the phone, the PA, the smoke detectors, all the fire alarm stuff and everything. So that's ready to go, and we're just waiting for Erin to get there with her team to set this up.
Is that the clinical piece where the nurses, the APRN is going to be within the building?
That's where the counseling will be out in the...
in that trailer?
In the trailer.
Okay.
And the nursing will be inside.
All right.
So moving on to Groton 2020, I'm sure that everybody continues to see the progress that's being made on the side of the hill. As you come up the hill, it's all night long, so you can see it at any time. And we're still moving forward with the elementary schools. There's still, at the existing buildings, the environmental studies are continuing, which will determine what kinds of things might be in that building so that when they demolish it, they can remove those things in advance of that. Those studies will be continuing on for the next few days, and then the team will be meeting, Rick Norris, the architects and so on, will be going to the state for pre-bid meetings on November 26th for Cutler Middle School, and West Side Middle School will be the following day on November 27th. And hopefully we'll get the go-ahead at that time or within a couple of days to go out to bid on those projects. So they're moving right along.
Wow, it's amazing. Any questions for Mr. Kilpatrick? Okay. Hearing none, we're going to move on to the committee reports. Policy, I see that we're doing some second readings and a couple of first
And I
readings.
think some first also, yes.
All right. Any other comments about that?
No, we are meeting on the 30th, which is, I think, is it next
Monday.
Monday?
Next Monday.
We will be meeting again. We keep on working.
Thank you very much. Andrea, for curriculum?
The curriculum committee is in the process of establishing a date for our next meeting, but we did meet today with the curriculum council, the townwide, school-wide curriculum council, and the dashboard was reviewed, and in that we talked about assessments and pacing guides and upcoming curriculum work. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Susan.
Just that those courses that the high school was working on over the summer, and they need to be officially approved, so they'll go through the committee first, and then they'll come here to the board for final approval before they go into the handbook.
Thank you. Finance and Facilities. Jane, you are the lone member from the Finance and Facilities.
I have not been to a meeting.
Well, so how was it for you?
It
was perfect? Good.
It was perfect.
All right. Dr. Grenier, I know that you serve as staff on that. Do you have?
We talked about the CIPs, and I have a sort of a detailed list I will explain initially tomorrow, and then the town sent us a note. They were hoping to have it by the 7th of October. We won't have enough time for the board to review it, but my thought is we could give them a draft. The Finance Committee will meet on the 21st, then the board can vote on it on the 28th of October. So but the big thing is we need to move the portables, the portable classrooms there actually still one at Pleasant Valley, and two at Cutler, and one at Westside. Those are very valuable buildings, and Sam is in the process of talking to a contractor to see how we could get them moved. Probably one to Charles Barnum, and the others to central office, the little field. But we have all of this is sort of pending approval by the town planner and so forth. We talked about the budget timeline, and we talked about a matter having to do with the grant approval of RTM, and I'll be bringing that to the board at the next COW meeting.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Welcome.
And so, would you be willing to just?
Sure. We're in the middle of negotiations with the Administrators Union, the AGSA, and things are moving along, and I think everyone is, very, let's see, what should I say? Accepting.
Yeah, it's very civil, professional
Very civil,
dialogue.
very professional, and it's just going along well.
And so
Learn, yes. The board meeting was last week, and during that meeting, we went over the Learn's missions and goals, and the agency goals, as well as core value and theory of action. But what I wanted to bring to the board, I know, which is I'm hoping that we, Groton Public Schools, could do an annual report, something like this. So but basically, they'll talk just a little blurb about each one of their different schools, like, the marine science and so forth. And it goes on, and they tie it to their goals, which is really lovely.
Yeah.
But they discuss the EXPECT grant, and here is a student of a robotics student at Westside Middle School, and another one down here for Cutler Arts and our humanities school. So, everything is sort of included. But in the beginning, it shows, what are the different roles that everyone has in our organization. It even has a little blurb about the budget, and where things are coming from and where they spend their money. So I was going to pass this along because I think this would be so wonderful if we could do that for our schools too in the future. Because we always, Mark, we have such fabulous pictures always. So we could just have a little blurb about each one of our schools.
Is it in the budget for 21, 22?
Well, we can talk about that. I've got that written down, so we can make it if we want to. Or maybe
Yeah, I mean, it
we can-
doesn't
we can
have to
consider it a
be, it
budget
doesn't
item.
have to be
Project
quite
we
as
can assign a
elaborate,
student.
but just
Yeah.
something that, it sort
Yeah.
of ties all our
Right.
schools together and,
Yeah.
and just a few pictures. It doesn't have to be quite as much as this one is, but anyway, it's
Yeah.
just very lovely.
Yeah.
We
You know
do,
what?
however, get almost as much press from the day for most of those things. We kept.
I was
it right.
thinking about the work
That's-
Rebecca has
that's
done in
great.
communications already.
We do.
Probably has a lot of this
Yeah,
information
we do.
put in one place.
I just not sure we can get the glossy.
Well, I don't know about the glossy, but it doesn't need to be as glossy,
Right.
but,
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my take from, and Kate Erickson is turning out to be fabulous. She's the new director at Learn and executive director, so things are good.
Yay. Thank you.
She was the one who pushed for the STEAM,
Yes.
for our Groton Middle School to be a STEAM. It was hugely important to us, and
Really?
yeah, and I have the same opinion of Kate that you
Yeah,
have.
she's amazing. She's, her enthusiasm is infectious, which is great.
Yes.
Gretchen?
Those booklets, I've seen them for several of the private schools in the area. You walk into your dentist's office and you get nothing better to look at, so you're looking at that, and it includes all the sports.
Yeah.
Not as glossy, but maybe something a little less
Yeah.
glossy. But within a budget, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing for us to do to,
Tout ourselves, huh?
Put them in every single doctor's office in the town
Yeah.
and out of town.
So what I whispered to, if I can just feed off of you, Gretchen, is I just whispered to Mike that maybe give it to Rebecca, and then maybe she can kind of come up with a price range, and so that we as a board can make a decision about that.
Yeah.
I mean, we might as well, Rosemary.
Be nice to have some student input also.
Yes.
But once again, let's find out what the price,
But
what the price
If we can plan
range
it
is.
into the formula.
That would be great. That's a good, that's a very good idea. So I'm going to move us on. And so the next one is a Board of Ed, Town Council and RTM liaison meeting. Lee, I did not go to last one. Did you?
I was there.
Susan did.
Susan. All right, so, okay, so it happened and our next one is going to
Well, it
be
isn't
next week?
listed.
Yeah, it
I
is.
noticed
Yes,
that
it is.
Yeah, it is. Down in the meeting
2nd.
dates, October 2nd.
Oh, all right, okay.
All right. And our Board of Ed, AJSA, and GEA liaison meeting, I think is going to be next month, I would assume.
October 23rd at 4:15.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, and then Trails and Liaison and Groton Scholarship. Gretchen, those are your two?
Have not been to either one yet.
All right.
They're coming in.
So I'm gonna move us on to the action items. This is the consent agenda, which is all matters under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted in by one motion. And we will add for points of clarification if needed. So I would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the regular meeting minutes of August 26, 2019, and the approval of gifts.
So moved?
Can I have a second?
Second?
Oh, that was second, okay. Sorry. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstained? Motion has carried. The board would like to say a thank you through the Donor's Choice Program to the following schools, which is Catherine Kalnowski School through Ben Moon for the purchase of a STEM Lab vinyl cutter in the amount of $285, and to Colchester, which is Sherry Fakis, for the purchase of sensory tools, inflatable pea pod, and a trampoline in the amount of $120. So we'd like to say thank you to that.
Just a small footnote. Donors Choose is an internet-based donation program. And when I started to see the teachers were going out, I met with the principals. And what I asked them to do was to be sure that they go through the principal and through me, because the board actually has to approve, the famous example is when I was in Ledger, somebody wanted to give us a horse. Well, we don't want a horse because they're expensive. So this was my attempt to be sure we don't want to have teachers going out sort of on their own and without board approval. So that's where it is now, and I think you'll see a fair number of donations coming in that way.
Super. All right, I'm going to move us on to old business. Rosemary, would you please read the motion for the first one?
The motion is to approve as a second reading of policy P5141.31, physical examinations of students.
Can I have a second?
Second.
And discussion. This is our second reading. I think it was last month we had this. Did people have other thoughts about this? Is there any other conversation that you need to have? Sue?
No, just that we've been monitoring the situation for students who've come in, and certainly the military and homeless students get like an extra 30 days. But principals and counselors, school psychs, in working with families and school-based health, we've probably had the best year ever getting kids in and having their immunization and their health records. So we're really pleased.
All right, Rita?
Do you have a percentage of students that for different reasons opt out of the immunization? Do you know what the percentage is?
Well,
in our
there's a
district?
religious opt-out, and then there's if children are medically fragile and they can't get immunization, there's a way through the physician to get that information. I don't have numbers on that, but
It's
we
less than
could find out.
3%.
Less than 3%.
The problem used to be, but we fixed it with the policy, that for the military families,
Right.
we gave them kind of a, more of an open window, probably, well, and actually, we gave it to everybody. And the nurses were
Pulling out their
upset
hair.
with that, right. So now we say, except if there's a legitimate, it's not an exemption, it's just when do you get your paperwork in? And when October 1st rolled around, frequently we didn't have, so our percentage was like way low last year, like 80% were immunized in the kindergarten. When the actual count was taken, it was about 98, 99.
Good. Any other discussion?
I had a question. The state is looking at getting rid of the religious exemption, right?
Yes.
We are?
Yes.
Good.
But that won't be until the next legislation.
Yeah.
Which will start in January. Gretchen?
I had thought they had gotten rid of the religious exemption, so it's the same question.
Yeah. No, not yet. So any further conversation? No. Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the approval of the second reading of policy P 5141-31, physical examinations students, please say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion has carried. Lee, would you be willing to read the motion for number 2?
I will.
Thank you.
The motion is to approve as a second reading of policy P 4118.5, acceptable computer network use and regulations. The regulation is R 4118.5, acceptable computer network use form.
Can I have a second?
Second.
That was seconded by Rosemary. Any discussion?
I do have some information. The question was raised last time about the form that was read out on the agreement, and the agreement goes through HR, so anytime we hire someone new, they must sign off on this.
Okay.
So I just wanted to reassure you that that is being done. Once this policy is put into place, we'll go back to each of our handbooks to make sure that what we're saying in our handbook is aligned, and parents have to basically sign off on the handbook that has all of our policies. But we do get a sign off there too. So I just wanted to clarify that information.
Super, thank you, Sue. Any further conversation? Hearing none, all those in favor to approve as a second reading of policy P 4118.5, acceptable computer use and regulation, which is R 4118.5, acceptable computer network use form. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? The motion has carried. Rita, would you please be willing to read number 3?
Sure.
Thank you.
To approve as a second reading of policy P 4118.4, appropriate technology, use and regulations, R 4118.4, appropriate technology use.
Can I have a second? Jane has seconded? Can we, is there any conversation about this?
There really wasn't very much change in the actual policy, but there was a committee that reviewed it. I think I had said this before. The first committee that put this together was under Karen Breyer, and they did a magnificent job. So there was very little that we wanted to change in the policy. There were some changes, though, in regulations, which don't have to come to the board, but we always like to show them to you. So.
Any other conversation or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve as a second reading of policy P 4118.4, appropriate technology use and regulation R 4118.4, appropriate technology use. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those abstain? All those not in favor and abstentions, the motion has carried. Because we all said it's going to go. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to... Well, yes, and if I can just slow down, we'll be good. Gretchen, would you be willing to read the motion? You don't?
I'll do it.
Oh, okay. You're more than welcome to say no, and like, that's not a hassle. But I would love for you to, if you would like to read number 4 of the motion.
To approve as a second reading of policy P 6141.3271, voice assistance devices.
Can I have a second? Second. You can choose between Lee or Jane. because they both said at the same time. Any discussion or changes from this?
This is all green because we did not have this policy, and because of the Student Privacy Act, we were concerned about having Google or Alexis hearing us and having kids speak into it, so this really restricts that from the school environment, that kind of a device.
Any other discussion? All right, I'm going to try this. To approve as a second reading of policy P 6141.3271, voice assistant devices. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Motion has carried. See what happens when I can slow down? All right, so we are now on to new business. Jane, would you be willing to read the motion under new business number 1? Thank you.
To approve as a first reading of policy P 6146, graduation requirements.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Rosemary has seconded it. And Lee and Sue, can you lead the discussion on this?
So Erin McGuire kind of spearheaded this committee at the high school level to look at what's by law required in the shift in the graduation requirements. She and the team came down and spoke to the whole COW, and then they came to policy and answered any questions that we had. So we reviewed it again fully at our policy meeting. So it's ready for the first reading.
So the big thing is, if you look at the front page, you'll notice that it says for the class of 2020, 2021, and 2022. The change, which is mandated by the State Board of Education, is on the next page. So the current freshman class, while Groton still requires 26 credits, one change, for example, is every student must have 1 credit of world language. So if you look back to the front page, so as Susan just said, the high school folks and the policy committee have captured the changes. So this is really important information for our current 9th graders.
And we were really ahead of the game because we've always required the 26 credits. That's new for some folks, but we've been doing that. So there was less of a change. I think that mastery-based learning is something that is really new, and all districts are trying to figure it out. Because of MYP, our 8th graders are doing a project which is more on kind of an action plan for community, a community service project. And then by 10th grade, they're doing the personal project. So that would be included. So instead of, a lot of schools are doing a project for kids, like in 11th and 12th grade, ours will be able to complete it in 10th.
Any other questions? Andrea, do you have?
I want to read the next one.
Oh, okay. But can I get done with this one first? Awesome. Right, so any further discussion on this? All right, so we are, the motion to approve as a first reading of policy P 6146 graduation requirements, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? The motion has carried. The reason why Andrea stated the way that she stated is because oftentimes she asks me not to ask her to read, and so obviously you feel very strong about this, and I would love for you to do that.
I hate to read out loud. It's a different skill from reading silently, and I'm very bad at it. But I feel so passionate about this, I would like to read this one. Whereas, custodial workers and maintenance department men provide service in multiple settings for the upkeep of the Groton Public Schools, and whereas the support and services provided by custodial workers and the maintenance department are integral to the continued upkeep of our school facilities, and therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education and the Superintendent of Schools recognize the many contributions of the custodial workers and the maintenance department and acknowledges October 2nd, 2019 as Custodial Workers Recognition Day. Hear, hear.
All those in favor of the motion?
I would just like to make one little tiny word change.
Can I get to a second of the motion, and then we
I'll
can?
second it.
Okay. Rita has seconded.
No.
Any discussion?
I would like to change it from men to men and women.
Yeah, I thought about that, but I don't know that there are women yet in the maintenance department.
There are.
Are there? Well, then,
Yeah,
let's change that.
we've had women for a long time.
In the maintenance
Just
department?
changed it to
Well,
people.
custodian.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
We have women in maintenance?
Oh, human.
See, that's why I
And custodial.
Will there ever be a woman in maintenance?
Oh, yes,
Call
I
it-
believe so.
Why don't we do workers? Like
How about if we say
do workers?
custodial and maintenance workers?
Gretchen, that was actually a very good pickup.
Yeah.
Any other comment about that?
Homo sapien.
All right, so I am not going to reread the motion. Is that all right, or do I need
Gonna
to?
insert.
But we are going to insert the work.
Custodial
Homo
and
sapien.
maintenance workers,
All right.
who are all.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
And don't ask me again until
Abstain?
next year.
All right, all right. So, motion has carried, and if we even just think about what Mr. Kilpatrick talked about, what the maintenance staff had to do to, because we were awarded another site for our health thing, and then what they had to do to stop and to do that, and to use all the personnel, our schools, and just as we were excited about what the teachers coming back from the international studies and looking what we have done with our scores, the backbone of what it, sometimes of our unsung heroes,
Yes.
is your department. So,
Here,
here. So we're now at the information and proposal non-action items. Rosemary, did you have any letters, communications, or comments?
I have attended the Sound Community Service Board meeting.
Awesome.
And I do have an announcement that, I don't know if anybody saw it, but Sound Community Services has been named a best place to work in Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
And we are
That's nice.
thrilled.
Considering what we think. Yep. Awesome. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Lee?
I went to, I think, all of the convocation, including the key person that spoke. It was wonderful. Every one of them, as always, was wonderful. I also went to Connecticut College and went and listened to about 1,000 people listening to the author who did Hey Kiddo. And I also went the next morning to hear him do the same thing again. I'm not sure everybody knows, but that author spent the entire day at Fitch.
Unfortunately, we didn't know.
We did not know.
No.
We did not know. But it was
did mention it
fabulous.
to our new principal, Ted Kelleher, and he said he'll make sure that you know.
Yeah,
in the
unfortunately,
future.
present company included did not know.
Yeah, that was really too bad.
I mean, I was amazed at how many books that he's not only written, but illustrated.
Yeah.
It was like that high.
Wow.
He was wonderful.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Rita?
Well, I think it's important that all board members, we provided input for the high school NEAS. They're up for accreditation. And, maybe someone from the high school, like Amy, could come and explain what all this means. It's a tremendous year-long effort in order to receive accreditation. I think it's every 10 years. Is that correct?
Yes.
I also had a question about, in our tobacco and everything policy, do we have information about vaping?
We do.
Oh, yes.
We just actually restructured those policies within the last year, and vaping was, we didn't have as much information on how serious it is, but we added vaping to every single
That's wonderful,
policy.
because I know some teachers at NFA, and they were saying how the kids are just really bending over their backpacks, vaping in the classrooms, and I'm just hoping the high school, I'm sure it's difficult, but it's dealing with this, so.
Our SRO is very much a part of this. Gas Coalition has been part of it. But you're right, and it's a tiny thumb drive device, so
It's so tiny.
really difficult
Right.
to enforce.
We did have a mental health summit in the spring, but I think it was when there were so many activities going on, and my hope was to get kids more involved in that community conversation on prevention. So I don't think it would hurt to try to sponsor something like that again.
I think it'd be
For the
great.
community.
And that one was wonderful, by the way. I had
It was a
no
small but mighty
idea
group.
what those things were. I had no idea.
Isn't that incredible?
It might be, just food for thought, might be interesting Renaissance project.
Right.
We have we have young people dying,
Yeah.
apparently, several. And vaping is being marketed to young people, which makes us crazy.
Or it might even be several of your after-school committees. Do you still have students against drunk drivers and those kind of?
I'm not sure about that, but we do have a couple of different clubs that are about the wellness of the school that I think would be really interested. So Zay and I
Yeah.
can bring that up
Yeah,
to
please.
different clubs. Yeah,
And count me in, I'd be
Yeah.
happy to help with that.
that would be great.
And I just think maybe Andrew will talk about the Martin Luther King dinner.
I will.
Good.
I will.
Then that's it.
Can I, before we leave vaping, Carolyn Wilson is another resource that we can probably
The gas,
utilize.
the gas coordinator, she's got a ton. And Officer Bousquet has got all kinds of information.
I think she was at that.
Gretchen.
She was.
Anyone remember, like, when we were teenagers, the no smoking campaigns, and they had one day in a year where no
Yeah.
smoking, and everybody had the anti-smoking buttons? Is there any way we could, like, resurrect that program within
Sure.
our school system?
Well,
Well, let's see what they come
leave
up
it up to
with.
the kids.
What was it that you said?
They used to have a campaign.
Like a
against
smoke out
smoking.
day.
Yeah, great, you're right. And they used to be given out buttons, and you'd see everything from first graders through high school. We all had our no smoking buttons on our uniforms, which usually stayed on our uniforms. But the kids from other schools were wearing them too. And it was just one day a year where we really gave our parents heck.
I do want to put out really quickly, I just had the idea, I think discussions work really well for students, so if there's any way
Yeah.
we can, I mean, I'll talk to these people.
Yeah, we've got some good resources.
I think the board would also like to partner with you on that. And
Yeah.
once again,
Yeah.
we've had the mental health summit, but maybe we
And
keep on
move
looking
down
at,
Possibly to younger students. I think if we start talking from a younger age about it, they will, like, my kids were caught by
Middle school.
surprise. Like, I was caught by surprise because it had been such a non-issue for so long, that when this all came back up about 5-10 years ago, I think we've all been caught short because we thought it had been dealt with, and we really
Right.
haven't re-dealt with it.
so,
Like, start with younger kids, my bad.
no, that's fine. I was interrupting you, so I apologize, Gretchen. I mean, we've been looking at ways to have like a town hall meeting, but that might be just sort of one of the ways that we can kind of do that. So I think that there's a lot of ways that we could try to partner with the high school and the middle schools. Because I
yeah.
think that, to Gretchen's point, I think that the younger we can get to the parents, the sooner we can get to parents of younger children, is what I meant to say, I think the better off.
I understand,
Don't laugh, don't laugh at me. Gretchen, do you have any correspondence or communications?
No.
All right. Jane, do you have any?
I do. I was eager to meet Cornelius Minor last week. I had heard of him, and I was so glad to have that opportunity. He's a young man who already has a book printed. We got this, Equity, Access, and the Quest to Be Who our students need us to be. It's an excellent, excellent book. But he is outstanding. He came bopping into the auditorium at the high school, a young man, caught everyone's attention. Many had met him already, right, Susan, earlier. And he's extremely uplifting, extremely positive. His thesis is, if we don't believe in kids, nothing works. And he knows that kids learn differently. He himself came as a young child from Liberia, lives in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So we also got the inside scoop on what Brooklyn is really like, and many of us did not know the details. For example, if you want a haircut, you go to the 3rd block down. If you want the grocery store, well, that's a 6th block down. He said his children never rode in a car until they were at least 7. And then they said, why are we going so slow, Dad? We go better and faster on foot. Then, amazing man. The auditorium was full of teachers and paras. There wasn't a sound to be heard until he was done with his presentation, and the applause was thunderous. It was just a great day for this town and this school system. He explained really that certain things impact our teaching. First of all is past experiences with kids. So he said, so if I go in a classroom and the kid tells me in period 1 that I'm an ass, well, it will set me off. So how am I going to teach that child in another class in period 4. And the other is your learning history impacts how you teach. And so if you were a pedagogy prisoner, then you're lockstep, and that's not a particularly good thing these days. And powerful teachers, he said, understand that our beliefs do sometimes falter, and it makes us stronger. Nothing bad about that at all. And he said, so what do? We gather ourselves and recover. So it was that kind of really uplifting, thought-provoking presentation. His key message, however, is listen to kids. They learn differently. He told the story of being told that he was going to teach reading in a younger grade, and they were not to talk during a writing activity, no talking whatsoever. He said, but what they didn't realize was that these children don't speak English as a first language. And so he said, we talk the stories before we write them. And he really got in trouble for that. That was just unacceptable. Why are you being insubordinate? Blah, 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 blah. He said, but you know what? I didn't have the courage to speak up. And we need that courage. So don't hesitate. Kids learn differently. And sometimes administrators or whoever is critiquing needs to know why teachers are doing things differently. It was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I said to Susan tonight, is he coming back? I hope he does. He's an international speaker now. He's not teaching at the moment, but doing a lot of work around the world. And I see why. He's young and vital and extremely important.
Sounds like you were really inspired by him.
I was very inspired.
That is so cool.
All of us have been to professional development activities over the years, and sometimes you walk in and you say, oh, God. And that's an accurate, maybe accurate. This was far from that, total opposite.
Yay. Dr. Grenier.
I just wanted to say, Jane was reading from a series of notes. I have a similar notebook because he gave another presentation to 8th and 9th graders. And my notebook was filled with different information, but fundamentally about how reading, as he spoke to these 700 kids, reading is a tool that we can use, we can share to help students solve the problems that they're facing in their lives, and be able to understand people who are like you and not like you. And then Susan went to all the presentations, and I said, surely he did the same thing with the 6th and 7th graders that he did with the 8th.
It's all about skateboarding.
We had a man give 4 different presentations, and some of us had lunch with him, and that was astounding. He told this chilling story of working in Florida as a reading consultant, and he got a phone call that one of the students he was working with had been killed, Trayvon Martin. And they called him and they said, do you have his notebook, his writing notebook? Because he brought some of the notebooks back to Teachers College, Columbia, to work on them. And sure enough, he went in his office and there was Trayvon. So they brought him in as a grief counselor. Just little snippets. He got a phone call from Meryl Streep a few years ago to make a movie. It's like, holy mackerel. This guy, he's just fascinating and inspiring and insightful, and he's coming back.
And every time we go to Columbia University, and there's 2 of my colleagues who are with me on every trip, and we go to see Cornelius, he said he got a tear in his eye coming to Groton because he felt like he was coming home. These are his people. He said he just loves Groton.
So I'm gonna just go on a happy note because we have a tape that needs to be changed.
There's an epilogue to this. The New York Times printed it, and
so we're gonna.
It won't be taped.
It's just what you're gonna say is not gonna be taped. If that's
But go ahead.
That's all right.
Just say it anyway.
So there's an epilogue. New York Times, I gave it to Susan, has an insert that they printed this last weekend, and it's about Brooklyn and the boroughs in New York, and there was Brooklyn with showing actually the spirit, the activities, oh my gosh. If you have it, be sure to look at it.
Makes you want to go, right?
Makes you want to go, but it shows that great sense of community in those boroughs. There are like 160 block parties in Brooklyn this summer.
Wow. In 1890, Brooklyn was the second largest city in the country.
That's what I was just gonna say, Brooklyn itself is this.
It was not part of New York City.
Biggest in the
All right,
world.
so I am going to move us back from our history of Brooklyn, New York, if I can. Once again, Jane, I so appreciate how inspired you were by him. I think that is absolutely very exciting. Andrea, another exciting event.
Well, I too went to both of those presentations, and they were wonderful. And the thing that Jared Kozaska did was to draw attention to the ladies in the lunchroom, the cafeteria workers. And I'd like to, I can't remember exactly what he called his heroine, but there was one woman who really affected his life in the cafeteria. And I would like to propose that the board, we recognize the custodians, as we did this evening, the secretaries. We never recognize the women in the cafeteria. So I'd like to propose that we do that in the coming year.
That'd be great. That's good.
And then I did see Cornelius Minor, and what a wonderful presentation that was. And here's the thing that really, I talked to Susan about this evening. He came up to me out of nowhere, and he said he wanted to thank me for all the things that I do. And I'm thinking, okay, that's very nice of the Board of Ed and all that. And then he said, for all the work that you do with Martin Luther King.
Oh,
and I told him the story. Here's the thing about that man. Susan was the one that told him, but that man remembered it.
He processed it.
Yes, and he was caring enough to come and say that to me, which leads me to the joy of the evening, which is to say that the Martin Luther King dinner is going to be at the Marriott on October the 17th, which is the third Thursday in October. And among our scholars is Melissa Mancuso from Fitch Senior. So come one and come all. I have invitations if you don't have one, and I'm telling the public if you'd like to go to get a hold of me, and I'll take care of that.
Well, I don't have anything as exciting as the last two presenters, but I do have, I have been able to get back into the community doing some door-to-door, and I just wanted to let you know the senior prom has come, post-prom party has come up in some of the discussions, and it seemed to be pretty positive, and I met a couple people, so I just wanted to let people know, and that I received a correspondence from an RTM member, once again, about the ruling about the board's handling of grants, and there is a response that has been written, but it has not been sent, because it's going to go to a committee of the whole, so that we can have a conversation about that as a whole. So I just wanted to let you know that I have responded, but it has not gone to that person because it needs to be a board decision. And that also, can't read my writing, I don't know what that means. That also that Dr. Grenier and I received a letter from an RTM member concerned about class sizes. There seems to be lots of information that's not correct. About what the class sizes at Groton Middle School is going to be. I heard 30, but as a point of interest, but that Dr. Grenier has responded to that person, but I wanted to let you know that that has gone to us. Please pay attention. This is a very busy, it's always busy for us, but October, lots of things have been happening along with Martin Luther King. I don't think that is on there. And it probably should go on there about the MLK dinner for October.
Put on the calendar.
But put it on our calendar thing, that would be great. And that just also remember that we are continuing on with our retreat, which will be in October, our third section of the retreat. And I think the rest are okay. Actually, what's not on here is that's on there. Rita?
When you're done.
Yep.
I have something to say. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted maybe Dr. Grenier or Susan to talk about the books that were provided from Waterford, is it Books A Million?
Books A Million,
BAM?
yeah.
So could you talk about that?
So Rebecca and I were approached at the beginning of the summer from Books A Million, and each year they select a town or community that they would like to donate books. And for the whole month of August, when you go in, because I did this one time to donate to ourselves, and they say, would you like to purchase a book for someone at Groton Public Schools? And I guess Lauren Ball, who is sitting in the audience, her mother actually was approached, and she picked a middle school book. And Lauren was in there helping me sort through middle school and high school books. We set it up, it almost looks like a bookstore, but over $5,000 worth of books, close to 500 books, and we're sorting them out, so all 9 schools will have a beautiful box of books for their library and for our wonderful readers. So it was just really quite a gift.
Yes.
And she said she had called other towns, but nobody had called her back, so I was really glad I answered the phone.
And it's close to $5,000 worth?
Yes.
More, 5,400.
Wonderful.
Beautiful books.
Thank you very much. That is so exciting. And Rita?
I have one more thing. I read an article in the Day yesterday, on Sunday, about this beautiful garden that was built at Avery Point. And some of our Fitch students were part of this building of this wonderful garden. I believe it's tactile. It seemed to be, it's not just a normal garden, but I think it was our engineering students that helped. So I sort of wanted a little more information about that. It did mention Fitch as being one of the community partners, and I was just very pleased to see that.
I think that's through John Settlage, who does our STEM grant. He's at Avery Point, and it is supposed to be a STEM garden, so I was meaning to say something to Laura Iris and Rachel to go over there and check that out, so I will follow up on, find out.
That would be great, and maybe you could just throw that in the board notes, just so that we can have more information. Because when good things are happening, we should all know about that, correct?
Yeah.
Any other future agenda items? Hearing none?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I have a second? From Rosemary, all those in favor, please say aye. Oppose, abstain, motion has carried. We are done.